have this vivid memory of sitting in the bathtub one time and just crying.
I think I punched my dad once.
You're not in charge of me right now. Like, you just won't leave me alone.
I had an epidural in my back, so I couldn't move very well.
She just wanted me to keep pushing and keep going.
Everybody had one. Like, if you didn't have one, you were looked down upon.
This is a show where teenagers share their experiences growing up in today's world. I'm your host, Dr. RJ, and this is A Teen's Perspective.
Hello and welcome to A Teen's Perspective. I'm your host, Dr. RJ, and today I have a great guest for you. And before I introduce this guest, she is a minor, so we need to come up with a name for you. So if you could be a superhero, which name would you want?
That's actually a really good question. I have no idea. Can I be silly?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Sprinkles.
I like it. Sprinkles. All right. Well, let's welcome Sprinkles to the show. All right. Well, perfect. Thank you, Sprinkles. So give the audience some background about yourself. Go ahead and share a little bit about your family dynamic and just where you have been and what you've been through and where you are today.
So I'm 14 and I'm going to be going to high school. A freshman, actually. So that's exciting. I live with my mom, my dad, and my two sisters. I'm the oldest sister.
So share with me right now, what I'm super curious to know about is just what are some of the things that you're going through or thinking about as it relates to all of the chaos that's happening in the world? I mean, we have racial injustice, we have the pandemic, social isolation. So now there's online schooling. So like you're a freshman going into high school, this must be a lot.
Honestly, it really is. There's so much going on right now. And this is a very difficult time for everyone, no matter how old they are. And it's honestly something that everyone's going to have to either get used to or make a change, especially regarding this racial injustice. I actually did discussions in school about the racial injustice, and it was called Race in America. And so I led a couple discussions with one of my friends. And, we talked to people from the school, talked to people outside of the school, just educating people about the matter because everyone needs to know about this, because Black lives should matter to everyone, because all lives do matter. But people are out here saying that all lives matter just to contradict the Black Lives Matter movement. And so people need to be actively aware of what's happening and the injustices, because we can't allow people to treat other people different because of something they were born with. You can't change your skin color. And so why is it tolerable for people to attack other people based on what they look like? Because they can't control that. They're just trying to live and thrive with everyone. Everyone needs to be able to build a safe community where everyone can live peacefully. And this racial injustice has to stop.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. So you're 14 years old. And before all this became mainstream, share with me just how aware you were of all this was going on before all of the media.
I knew it was happening, but not to this extent. I've heard of things, my parents talking about things, just seeing things on the news. But I didn't know it was this extent. And, some pop up or on Snapchat and just see another person's life has been taken because of their skin color. And it's just so saddening. And it's honestly something that this entire nation has to focus on.
So share with me some of the conversations you guys are having with your peers at school, because obviously they see it too. And I'm curious to know, are some of the kids nervous to talk about it? If they're not Black? What is the sense that you're feeling with your peers?
Well, there are some people who are willing to ask the questions and willing to learn. And those are the people that I like to surround myself with the most, because they're willing to hear what I'm saying and willing to improve no matter what they were like before. Those are the people that I like to talk to, and the ones that I will take my time and talk to them because they want to learn. They want to take the time and learn. And so I'm willing to teach them. But there are some students in my class who don't want to learn, who encourage others not to learn. And it's so disappointing. And I hope that they have an encounter where they learn that we can't treat people harshly based on their appearance. And so I'm just hoping that they make that connection very soon. And I want to applaud all the people who are willing to learn no matter their background.
Thank you so much for that. So it sounds like essentially the ones who are comfortable to kind of be around you, they talk to you about it. And whenever your friends at 14, let's say anyone that's not Black, are they more so there just say, hey, we support you, or they truly want to learn because they just never been really taught about what happens as it relates to racial injustice?
Majority of my friends have presented themselves as allies to me, and we've sat on the phone and discussed, and they've asked questions. For example, why is saying this not okay? Why is this racist? What about this situation? Should I have done better? And, we discuss and we talk about it, and they get excited about it, and they tell their families about it, and they tell their friends about it. And what I've learned is it comes from the environment that they were raised in. So it's hard for them to fully understand other people's perspectives because of, their parents, their cousins, their aunts, their uncles, they hear them talking, and then they start to form their own perspective based off of their environment. But I'm so glad and so thankful that they come to me and are willing to talk and willing to learn.
You're 14 years old. You have to deal with all the things that are happening. And then on top of that, it's the pandemic, and you're not going to hang out with your friends as much, and you're starting high school. So share with me some of the fears that come up about your grades and things like that.
Well, I am pretty worried about having the perfect balance between studying an academic life and a social life, because the two are very, very important for mental and physical health. And it's so important to have a perfect balance, and it's not easy to achieve a perfect balance. And honestly, I feel like you just have to surround yourselves with the people who are like you, who have the interests that you have similar goals, because they're willing to build you up, they're willing to work with you, and they expect the same thing. And it's just kind of an overall partnership, and it's a great experience. So once you find those group of people who have the same goals, have the same experiences, it's really nice. Not only are you guys friends, but you're life partners. And, you work together no matter what. And it's a really nice experience.
So can you share with us, what is your current situation where you guys are from? Are you guys just doing a delay? Did they close the school down for the whole rest of the year?
So my school, personally, you get to choose whether you want to be completely online or completely in person. They're not really allowing much flip-flopping. So you kind of have to just pick one in the beginning. But majority of the schools that my other friends are going to, they're doing either hybrid or completely online. So yeah, I guess my situation's a bit different.
And what did you guys choose and why?
So I chose to go back in person, just to kind of have that change of scenery, because being stuck in the house all day, there's no way that's good for you. And I miss my friends. I miss the social interaction. And it's just nice to be able to have that hands-on learning, because I'm more of a visual learner, and, being able to kind of interact with what I'm learning is beneficial for me. And I really feel bad for the children who have to do online learning when that's just not the way they learn best. And I really sympathize with them, and I hope that they can have a better situation.
Hello, this is Dr. RJ. I hope you are enjoying the show. I just want to encourage you to hang around after the interview. I will be coaching my guest on whichever topic they choose. Life coaching has been proven to increase success and happiness in teenagers. So if you're interested in having a life coach for your teenager, register at www.lifescholarsacademy.com.
Share with us, your parents' role in all of this? What are some of the conversations they're having with you during this time? Did they allow you to choose or did they choose for you? Share with me your parents' role.
Well, my parents are working from home, so pretty much everyone's at home right now, and it's starting to feel kind of cramped. So I think we all pretty much agreed that we didn't want to be in the house anymore. Even though my parents do have to work from home still, everyone else is going back to school. And honestly, my parents were just preparing to go back to school safe and healthily because that's very important right now. My school is taking this very seriously.
So what are some of the changes that you see in school now?
In school, the classes are cut down by half. So there's probably going to be around 7 students in a class at one time. Not everyone's going to be there because some students are choosing to do online school. The lunch situation is going to be very different because you obviously cannot eat with your mask on. So apparently there's going to be some form of plastic dividers at our tables. And so I'm really curious as to what that's going to look like. And yeah, they're keeping the masks on very seriously. If you're caught without your mask on, you're not allowed back at school for some time. So this whole situation is being taken very, very seriously. That's why my parents are so comfortable with sending me back because they already know that the school is not playing games.
Wow, they're very serious about that. So what are you and your peers saying about the masks? I'm an orthodontist, so for me, pretty easy to wear a mask, but oftentimes you see a lot of adults who against the mask. They hate it. So I'm curious to know overall, your peers, what are you guys saying about wearing masks all day?
Honestly, it's not ideal, but we want to be safe and keep each other safe. And if you're not okay with the mask, then just don't go to school because we don't want other people to get sick. We don't want to get sick. And if the mask is a problem for you, you have an option to be online. But yeah, we've all acknowledged that if you want to come back, we have to follow the procedures, make sure everyone's safe. That's the most important thing right now.
Also, when we're talking about your parents, you said you have 2 other siblings. So share with us a little bit about the family dynamic during all this time. Because, you're the oldest, so I'm sure they have a certain expectation out of you. They have work to do, and then they have the social injustice in this pandemic. So share with us how they're managing all of that, giving you the time you need, your siblings the time they need.
So when we were still doing online school earlier, a schedule of where when I was in class, my sister was watching because is 2. And so we can't just let her roam and, she has to be actively watched. And at the time she was 1 year old. So we had to, make sure she was being managed. So yeah, there was a whole schedule of who's going to have her at this time and who's going to have her at this time. And honestly, it was very stressful and pretty confusing. Sometimes she had to be in my classes with me as a little visitor, but we did the best we could. And once school ended, we ended up running a little daycare. So we watched her for 3 to 4 hours throughout the day, just to make sure my parents had time for work and things like that.
And how did you guys get through it where everyone is still sane?
Honestly, everyone's not doing great. We're honestly trying to work on it, trying to find solutions. We're going to be moving to a bigger house so we all have more space because space and privacy has been really noticeable now that everyone's at home. And so, we're trying to figure out ways to make sure everyone's mental health is still intact. And yeah, honestly, it's a struggle. It's a struggle for everyone. And we're just doing the best we can. And that's all we can do.
You mentioned that your parents are checking on everyone's mental health. How are they doing that?
Just kind of asking how we are, sitting down, having some talks with us, just making sure we're okay. Both of my parents have a degree in psychology, so they kind of know how our brains work. And so they're just trying to figure out what we can do to just overall improve our mental health and make sure we're all okay.
That's awesome. So Share with me through this entire process, what has been the most enjoyable through all of this?
It actually might be kind of coming up with like creative ways to hang out with your friends. For my birthday, my sister, she had this whole crazy event planned, complete social distancing, completely safe. It was a drive-by, but there were like so many people. Everyone got food. There were signs, there were gifts, there was music, and it was really nice. And I enjoyed all of it. So that's probably the most enjoyable thing.
Wow, you have an awesome sister. Man.
I really do.
That is so awesome. All right, so it's 3 girls. So it's you're 14, your sister's how old?
11.
And then it's a 2-year-old?
Yes.
All right, so share with us the dynamic of that, like as far as how close you guys are and your responsibilities.
So we're all pretty close. We do have very different interests for the most part. We all just love hanging out with each other. We love to be with each other. We also have these things called sister nights. And so we do those pretty often, just to hang out with each other, just as sisters. It's really nice and I enjoy it. As far as responsibilities go, I think I have the most out of all 3 of us because I am the oldest, so that's to be expected. But they're not like crazy and, elaborate. Just kind of make sure that everyone's okay and, try to keep things clean, keep things organized. And that's pretty much it.
That's awesome. And it sounds like, you have taken the role of the older sister where it sounds like you have that leadership quality about yourself.
Yeah.
So what are your goals for this year? You're a freshman. When do you guys start school? Pretty soon, right?
Yeah, very soon.
So what are your expectations this year? What are your goals?
Get all A's. I'm starting 2 new sports. And so my goal is to be pretty good in them, try to work hard in them, but don't let it interfere with my grades, but still try to do pretty good. My school has this award called Athlete of the Week. So it'd be nice to win one of those awards.
Yeah. And which 2 sports are you going to play? And how are they going to be impacted by the pandemic?
I'm going to be playing volleyball, basketball, and golf. Volleyball and golf are the 2 new sports. So I don't know how golf and basketball are really going to be affected, but I know that volleyball, they're not going to be having any games. It's just going to be practices until the winter. So that's definitely going to be different.
So I started this podcast so parents can learn from teenagers in a sense of like just hearing you guys' perspective on things. Mm-hmm. So I'm curious to know what insight can you give parents that would help them better parent their teenager through this pandemic?
Honestly, all I can really say is just try to be there for them. Be willing to listen to them, no matter how frustrating whatever they say might be, because everyone's going through a difficult time. And just remember that even though you may see something as normal or easy, it could be difficult for them. And so try to be patient and, willing to take your time and help them through whatever they're struggling with. And just let them know that you're here and willing to listen to them. And, just kind of overall be there for them. And that's all I can really say.
No, thanks for sharing that. I have a Facebook group where the parents are part of this Facebook group and they ask questions. And one of the parents posed the question, how to reprimand their child or their teenager without taking the phone away. So I'm curious to know, like right now, if the parents would take your phone away, that's pretty tough. So what do you see from your perspective as ways to either punish a child or just encourage a child to do the right thing and not get in trouble?
Honestly, I don't think there's a specific right answer, but I do think that taking the phone away is not the most helpful method because it just creates some form of rebellious feeling on the inside and it's not productive. But I feel like having your child do something that would be beneficial to them when they get older, for example, physical relating work, like doing the dishes, taking out the trash, unclogging the drain, things like that may not be enjoyable, but they are useful when you get older. And so just kind of things like that are the most productive ways to teach them something. Also, having a conversation and breaking apart what they did and what exactly was wrong about it and how you both could have approached the situation differently. That's very important because if a child does something and you say no, they don't know what part they did wrong. So it could lead to them doing it again or even doing something worse because they don't know what about the situation was wrong. And so honestly, just breaking it down and just teaching them, taking those teachable moments is very important.
Well, I hope this interview will help in some way with the relationship between you and your team. Thank you for listening, and thank you so much for all of your support. Please review, rate, and subscribe, and share with a friend. Once again, I'm your host, Dr. RJ, and this is A Teen's Perspective.